Thanks everyone for joining today's presentation. Today I'm going to talk about how to automatically update the test as the service definition changes using Parasoft SOATest. This is my SOATest UI. I'm going to create a new project. I'm going to name it as Change Advisor Lesson. And I'm going to hit finish. You can see there is an empty project that got created in my test case explorer. And I'm going to add a TST file. I'm going to create my test using a WSDL file. I'm going to copy this WSDL URL. So I'm going to generate the functional test using this WSDL file. I'm going to pick one test out of these 7 functional test cases that got generated. I'm going to pick the second one with the name add new item to inventory. So this WSDL file is a definition for an online bookstore web service. So I'm going to pick this second operation. So I'm going to first create a test and add a validation to this test. And then I'm going to do the impact analysis. So as part of that, now I'm going to create a test. I'm going to create a test with an ID 10 and the price $9.99, and I'm going to fix a stock 5. So I'm adding 5 books to the stock. I'm going to save this test and I'm going to add a validation to this test. My response is an XML, so I'm choosing XML asserter. And this is my XML asserter. I'm going to configure an assertion to the test that I have created. So I'm going to add a occurrence assertion in which I'm going to select the price. So what this assertion will do is it's going to find out the price tag in the response and checks whether it occurs once or not. So I'm going to save this assertion now. I'm going to close this. So I've completed my test. So now I'm going to run it once to make sure it's running and working fine. You can see my test code succeeded and my test passed with the assertion. This is my traffic object, and you can see my price occurred once in the XML, so my assertion passed. So I'm going to close this traffic viewer now, and now I'm going to perform my change advisor once. So I'm going to switch my perspective, and this is the Parasoft change advisor I'm going to choose. So I have switched my perspective to Parasoft change advisor. I need to have the change advisor layout here near the console tab. So to bring that, I have to go to view menu, show change impact layout. If it still doesn't come here, what we need to do is we need to go back to the menu view, configure contents, and choose change advice layout. Hit OK. You can see there is a green button that got appeared here. In the change advisor perspective, if you open this, you can see all the impacted changes of the test. So now I'm going to perform my impact analysis on this test created from my WSDL file. So I'm going to choose change advisor lesson.txt, and you can see a button here called perform impact analysis. So I'm going to click this button. So I'm going to scan the test against a WSDL file, which is my current definition, and I'm going to hit finish. So what's happening here is it's going to perform the impact analysis using the WSDL file that I have used to create this test. So there are 0 impacted because I have used the current definition file. Now I'm going to run the same test using a different WSDL file, the latest one. So I'm going to again perform this test by choosing the artifact as WSDL, and this is my WSDL file with which I have created my functional test. Now I'm going to choose the version 2 of the WSDL file, which is my latest version, which has some changes compared to my first WSDL file. So I'm going to paste my WSDL here to compare. So I'm going to hit finish. You can see there are all my 7 tests got impacted, and there are 23 changes reported here, right? So in my SOATest change impact layout, I'm going to expand these steps. You can see all my 7 tests got impacted, and I'm going to expand my second test, which is add new item to inventory. You can see there are some new elements that got added, and there is a name changed for an element from price to genre, and there is a namespace change for the element, and there are some changes in the order in which those elements are rearranged. So you can see all these changes in the when we compared with the new WSDL file, right? So after I got all these changes, the next step I'll be performing is I'll be creating a template. So I'm going to choose my change advisor lesson.txt, and in my service catalog, when I expand the service catalog, you can see there are two versions of service catalogs that got created, one with the current version and one with the old version. So for the convenience and understanding, I'm going to rename this service catalog. This is a bookstore service. So I'm going to name this service as bookstore. And I'm going to rename this current version as 2.0 and the old version as 1.0. Now using these two versions, I'm going to select these two versions and I'm going to create a change template from version 1 to version 2. I'm going to name this template as change template. You can graphically see the differences now in the editor view of the change template. Here I can see the different mapping operations and the map schemas. So what you're seeing right now is the comparison between version 1 and version 2 of the WSDL file and the different changes. So you can see an yellow line here. That means SOATest is not confident enough to map these two operations. If you see get item by ID and get item by identifier are the same operations, but there is a small change in the name from ID to identifier. So the SOATest have identified this change and it's asking us to review the change. So to review the change, what we need to do is we need to give a right click and we need to mark it as reviewed. And now when you go to map schemas, it's going to show the different elements in which I'm going to expand this a bit. You can see the different elements that got changed here, and the SOATest is showing some elements to be reviewed. And you can see it's trying to map the price with the journal, which is not right. So we can simply disconnect this and we can map the price and amount here by just clicking price and amount. And looks like journal is a new element that got added. So when we generate our new set of test cases, the test may fail if we are passing an empty input. So I'm going to default with a journal. Now I have created the template and I updated all the changes. So what I'm right now going to do is once my template is created, I'm going to generate the test cases with the new WSDL file. Right. So now I'm going to choose refactor using a chain analysis. Now I'm going to choose my change advisor lesson.txt and I'm going to perform refactoring using the change template. So now I'm going to choose the location where I wanted to generate my test cases. And it's always advisable not to overwrite the existing test until we are confident enough that our tests are up and running. If we choose overwrite, it's going to delete the previous version of the test cases, which is not advisable. So once we are confident enough and the test cases are up and running, we can eliminate those tests. So now I'm going to choose the workspace as my location to generate the test cases. And I'm going to hit finish. So you can see a folder that got generated with change advisor lesson. I'm going to expand this .txt file. When I expand this, add new item to inventory, you can see all the new values, all the values that is coming from the old test that we have created with the previous version of the WSDL file. And you can see all these details. And you can also see the default value that we have created for the new element that got added to the new WSDL file. So this is how you can automatically generate a new set of test cases if there is a change in the WSDL file.